guys, in today's review is a all new tooled item by Hornby, and this all new tooled item is a pre-grouping Great Western steam locomotive. And this steam locomotive is the Great Western Saint class or the 2900 class. And they started life at about 1902 to about 1912, so that makes them a pre-grouping locomotive. So the one I went for when Hornby announced them in January 2025 was R30405 Great Western Saint class 460 Lord Palmer number 2975, and it's an era 3. I think Lord Palmer was the 4th name it carried in its lifetime. So like I said, I have been pestering Hornby, especially under Simon Kohler, for a few years about doing a Saint class, because it's been a good 30 years plus since they had one. I think it was the 90s, and that was a tender drive one when they had it in their collection last time round. So with modern day technology, let's get into the review and see what it's all about, shall we? So here goes. So starting off in the usual place, which is the manual and the detail bag. So with the model you do get a detail bag, and you get quite a lot in there. You get the front coupler, so basically an end pocket style coupler to put in. You also get left hand and right hand cylinder blocks for underneath the locomotive. They're only for display purposes only. Driver and fireman, which are painted. You also get 5 lamps. You get the brake rigging, I think it's for the locomotive. You also get the cylinder pipes that come down, and you also get, I believe, some hatched number plates for the side of the loco. Shame you don't get any actual ones for the loco unless they are hatched already. But most of it's painted. The lamp lines are painted in the red, the crew's painted, and it's in 2 separate bags, which is always great. You also get a manual, and this manual basically tells you how to maintain your locomotive and if you've got any troubleshooting. So on the first page or the front, you get general information, you get running tips, and you also get routine maintenance, how to clean the track, the motor, the chassis, lubrication, all that sort of stuff, all the usual stuff that Hornby put in. And if you turn over to page 2 and 3, it tells you where to lubricate the locomotive, pointed out in yellow. You also told you about DC decoders and sound fitted. It recommends what to use. Told you where it is, which is in the tender. You take 2 screws off the tender at the back, and it should just clip off, and that's where it is. There is space in the tender to fit a sugar cube speaker. I don't know if that's already fitted or it's fitted for you, or you've got to do it yourself. Then it tells you where some of your accessories go. On page 3, it's all well explained. Like I said, if you're going to do the cinder blocks, I would be careful if you're going to run it. It doesn't recommend that. And then page 4 is how to fit the lamps that you have. Don't think these lamps light up, but how to fit them. And then it has the head codes if you want to run certain trains and stuff like that, including sound, I believe. I don't understand this. And then it tells you about the locomotive drawbar connector. And then you have the last few pages, which is 5 and 6, which I've not shown, is basically how to connect to Hornby. So it tells you all the social media they're on and how to get hold of spares and repairs and the usual stuff that they have at the back of the thing. So it's all well explained. You get quite a lot of details to add to the loco yourself. Now we move on to the front of the locomotive. Starting in the usual place, which is, yes, this does have metal sprung buffers, which is great to know. And they're very fine as well, if I've got to be honest with you. So we do have a pocket for the coupler that's in the detail bag. We also have some guard irons as well down below. We have the buffer beam itself in red with the number of the locomotive, which is 2975, with rivets all around it. There's a hole for your hook and links if you want to add them. Hornby don't supply just a hook, which is a shame. If you add in the front coupler, you don't add the hooks because they clash. We also have a steam pipe going up in the Great Western style again. It's painted as well. We have the shanks, buffer shanks. They are in red with a few rivets, and then we have the metal buffers like you saw. Moving on up, this is where it gets a little interesting for me. The first 3 that Hornby announced, this one only has this feature, which I'll get into in a minute. So we have the usual 3 lamp irons, which seem to be metal, they're cold to touch, and we have tons and tons of rivets dotted around. Every look on there, you can see rivets. If you wanted to add your lamps from your detail bag, you can. We have, I think they're called cylinder guards. They stick out a little bit, we've got one either side where the cylinders line up with the chassis as it is. They're only on this model, they're not on the other 2 that Hornby have announced. So there is difference in the tooling. Again, we have some more rivets. We also have a step near the smoke box door. and I think there's some gold capped on the cement box door as well. We have a separately applied cement box dart. None of the hinges or anything like that have been picked out. We do have another lamp pine at the top. We have a separately applied metal handrail going all the way around the locomotive, and then we come to which looks like to be a metal piece, the Great Western style chimney. But it is great that Hornby have done different variants with the tooling around the cylinders. Now we move on to the side of the locomotive. There's some differences to the side of the locomotive. There's quite a lot of piping around there, so I'll explain what they is. So we have, I think it's a metal reversing rod around there, and I think there's also another rod that goes in front of the nameplate. They're all separately applied. We also have, I think it's a steam pipe. Again, that looks to be separately applied and well painted. And we also have the handrail that goes all the way around that you can see on this side as well. So at the front, we do have that guard that I mentioned earlier near the cylinders. Again, that is different to all the other models that Hornby have announced so far. I don't think there's any inside motion on this model, as far as I can tell. The boiler banding is orange, black and orange. It's in the Great Western green. The front isn't in a matte colour. We also have some washout plugs. We have a handrail that I mentioned before. The splashes themselves are lined and they do have a gold effect going on, which is correct for Great Western locomotives. Then on the middle one, we have the name of the locomotive, which is Lord Palmer. I believe it is the 4th name it would have carried in its lifetime. There's also some supports, it looks like, for the boiler underneath. The chassis itself is metal. It has quite a lot of rivets on there. Everywhere you look, there's more rivets. Little handrails dotted around on the chassis as well. So this is a Churchwood design locomotive. It is a 460. We do have a lining on the cylinders, which is orange, black and orange. We also have the holes for your details if you want to add them, like drain cocks. They are there. We have the rods and conrods. They are metal. The wheels themselves, all of the wheels have been lined and covered up. I think it's orange lining. And the wheels look to be black, which is correct. And the spokes are very fine too. We have the brake shoes lining up with the wheels. We also have the sanding pipes as well. There may be some other details underneath there that I can't see, so I do apologise. You can really tell that this is a Churchwood design by the cab as a seat cutout. We have lining on the steps. I think there's 3 steps to go up there, have lining on. We also have the number of the locomotive. Again, there's one in the detail bag if you want to make it etch. We also have a fine handrail. We have the colour code, I think, for the Great Western at the top. Again, it's lined and it's in the Great Western green. And then we come to the really, really small cab roof. And if you look closely enough, you can see separately applied handrails and you can see the foreplate in the up position. Now we move on to the part that everyone looks forward to in a modern day steam locomotive review, and that is the cab and the features. So this does have a orange flicker on analog. And if you look closely enough, you can see some made out coal that will be in there, some like frosted glass at the front of the light, which is a great touch. It looks really nice when it's going around as well. So let's go on to the cab detail. So in the cab, we do have everything painted, everything picked out in the correct order it should be. We even have dials in the gauges. I think there's acrylic style water in the water gauge. They've picked out the regulator in silver. There's also some seats for the crew that are in the detail bag as well. We have a wood flooring going on too. Like I said, there's so much detail in there that's been painted and picked out. It's amazing. There's probably a few bits I have missed as well. We also have a metal etched foreplate between tender and loco, which is a great touch. If we go down a little bit further, we also have I think it's the male part of the loco and tender connection. Again, there's some details around there as well. So onto the front of the tender. The front of the tender is pretty like any other Great Western style tender or any tender at all. Most of it's black. We do have, I think, some boxes there for the firemen. They are picked out in green. You can see the coal chute. It's pretty open with the coal coming out. We have some handles which are in black. I think one could be water, one could be brakes, but I could be wrong. We also have some buffers for the tender. Not sprung or anything, but they are there. Then further on down we have, I believe it is the female bit between loco and the tender. Overall, the cab detail is fantastic. There's a lot of detail inside the cab. As we now move swiftly on the locomotive to the side of the tender. The side of the tender is plastic, but it has this wonderful lining. If you look closely enough, you can see the lining. And it is different to a few other tenders. It's definitely different to the preserved locomotive that they've made. So there is different tooling in the tender tops. as well as the chassis. We have the Great Western lettering. We also have the crest. Crisply added, may I say. We also have, like I said, fine handrails either side of the tender. We also have the leaf springs and axles. They have all been lined, and so have the steps and the chassis itself. In the orange, it's all been lined quite crisply. We have metal wheels under there as well. Again, they have probably been lined too. Onto the back of the tender now. So we do have the coupling already applied from the factory, which is great. I think there's also some guard irons to knock stuff off the tracks too. We have metal sprung buffers, like the front. The buffer beam itself is in red with a few rivets. There is no number on the back here. The buffer shanks again are in red with a few rivets attached to the buffers. We have a steam pipe and I think a hook applied to the back here, which is great. It's a shame they didn't have just a hook to the front. As we go up just a little bit, if you look closely enough, the lamp irons, they are attached to the underneath of what would be the tender chassis, which again, I believe is correct for the locomotive. We do have 3 of them. Then the tender goes in just a little bit and then we get the tender top. So here we have the Great Western green with the orange, black and orange lining. We have steps, I think there's 2 steps, and I think they are a metal piece looking at the engineering samples on Hornby's pages. We also have, I think, a water capacity sticker, or plaque, sorry. Not sure if that's legible, but it's there. And either side we do have the set applied metal handrails. Then we have another lamp iron at the top. Now it's time for an aerial view on top of the tender. So on top of the tender we do have, most of it is black, if I'm honest with you. We do have the usual, I think the lifting irons, or lifting eyes. They are there. They look to be moulded, which is fine with me. We also have a dome, and then we also have, which I think is a water filler cap. Not sure if that's applied or one of the moulding. We look close enough on the handle of it. It is applied, it's a metal piece, which is great. We move across to the coal load. The coal load itself is different. I like it where it's just layered. That looks great. You can see the side where the fireman would be because there's a slit in the tender for the fireman to put his tools. We also have them toolboxes that I mentioned in green. There is some other stuff on there for the fireman to look at. There is the scoops that I've mentioned before. If you look behind the boxes, you can see 2 sticks, I want to call them, I don't know what they are. They are there and they look to be a separately applied piece. Not too sure if the coal load is removable, and I apologise if I've missed anything off this highly detailed tender, if I'm honest with you. As we now do an aerial view on top of the locomotive itself, like I said before, this is a churchwood design, and you can tell that by the side of the cab it has a C, but the roof is also small as well with a few rivets, and it's in black. If you look carefully enough down the side of the cab, you can see them handrails that stick out. Again, they are separately applied piece. As we move on forward just a little bit, we do have glazing in the front of the cab. We also have 2 whistles there that go into the cab. Not sure if they are metal or plastic, but they're well done. The front of the cab itself is lined, like most of the locomotive, it's lined in that orange, black and orange with the Great Western green. On top of the firebox, you can see no lining, which is correct, but on the boiler itself, there is lining. We have the Great Western safety valves, which again look okay to me, and I think they are a separately applied piece and seem to be fitted okay. Again, at the front, we do have the separately applied metal chimney. Again, Hornby have captured this perfectly fine, in my opinion. And then on one side where all the piping is, you can see the, I think it's a superheater fitted to the model, or would be in real life. Then if you look down below, you can see them cylinder guards as well. They are different to the other ones, like I keep saying. And then we have the buffer beam and the buffers. If you look close enough between the chimney and the buffers, you can see some more riveting as well. Now we come on to do an underneath look at the locomotive. So the locomotive does pick up on its 6 driving wheels, and it's a copper strip. The old-fashioned way, I quite like it. And if you look closely enough, you can see that is the middle driving wheels, basically the one where the splasher is. The nameplate on, that is geared. I think it's 3 screws to take it off, and it's probably got contacts underneath to work. All the wheels are metal. The rods and stuff, like I said before, are metal. If you look closely enough, there's a few marks under there, which you're not going to see it when it's going round. Well, I thought I'd mention it. And there's also a different bit of piping that's been picked out in a brown colour by the looks of it. And there's some valve gear on the top as well. We have the holes for the cylinder drain cocks on the cylinders. The front bogie doesn't pick up any power by the looks of it, but it swivels quite loosely. We also have the holes for the brake rigging, which is in the detail bag. If you look closely enough, you can see the sanding pipes and the brake shoes already applied from the factory. And at the end, you can see the steps that are near the cab. If I missed anything, I do apologise, and then we come on to the loco tender connection. So the loco tender connection is a push fit one, and like I said, I'll show you at the end, but it does come already assembled together. It does look quite smart. I didn't mind the old-fashioned way that Hornby used to have it, which was a drawbar, metal drawbar with a plug. I quite like that because it represented to me a water pipe and stuff like that going over, but they've modernised. You have to modernise it, and it works perfectly fine for me. Onto the tender. So the 6 tender wheels do pick up, and again, it's a copper strip, which is fantastic. So that is 12 wheels in total. Should have no issues on the tracks. We also have a few screws to take off the base key plate if you wanted to. We also have 2 screws to take off the body of the shell if you want to chip it and all that good stuff. The brake rigging has been applied. We also have a water scoop applied as well. And again, from here you can see some more brake rigging detail and some more lining as well. And then we come to the end, which has the coupler. Overall, it's quite detailed under the tender and the locomotive. So the locomotive does come already coupled to the tender in the packaging, but I just thought I'd show you how you connect it if you ever wanted to, or disconnect it. It's pretty easy. It's just like putting a phone charger in a phone or a USB stick in your TV or a laptop. Pretty simple. So here it goes. Make sure it's all lined up first. You push them together, so the male part on the loco and the female part on the tender, if I've got that correct. And you slowly just get them together. They should do a click. That. That's all it is, and to undo it, it's the reverse, but it's a little tight. Like so. It's a little tight in reverse, but that is how you do it. It's pretty simple. So next up will be the usual points test and second radius. So here it goes. Hopefully it can do it. Hornby never let us down on the second radius before. So here goes. Not bad, that's pretty good actually. And what speed are we looking at? What's that, about the 30? Again, it's pretty smooth. Easily managed the second radius again, not touched it, 30. So yeah, if I'm honest with you, it managed the points test and second radius pretty okay. I was quite impressed by it. It was, I think, about 29.30 on the Gauge Master Combi. I am going to be honest with you guys, at the time of recording, I have reported this issue to Hornby, and as of yet, I haven't had a response why it happens. So here it goes. I'll show you the clip. So this is the locomotive, as you can see here, with the loco and tender 4-plate up. It's a metal piece. There's nothing in the instructions about it should or should not be on. If I just give it a little bit more juice. This is third radius. Yeah, third radius, and it gets stuck. No. So yeah, what it does in second, God knows, but on third, it gets stuck with the foreplate, as you can tell. So yeah, in that clip you can see it with the foreplate up, and it does get stuck on third radius. It also does it on the points test, and it also does it on the second radius. But I only showed the third radius, of course they're the biggest. And for the rest of the review and even the points test that you saw earlier on, the foreplate was down just so I could run the loco, because currently I can't run the loco. It's not a major issue, but it's still an issue that shouldn't have happened in my opinion. So next up will be some slow speed, and I'll find it a train to pull, and I'll see you at the end. So here goes. Not bad, what we're talking there. Not even 30. That's pretty good for DC ready model. It was quite smooth. So that's the end of the running session and the review. Before I give my opinion and price, I'll do what I normally do and tell you what it was pulling, which was some Grathar, Graham Farish / Bachmann Suburban coaches in the Great Western livery with the shirt button on the side. And I believe these are based on an LMS design, if I got my facts correct. I don't have much Great Western rolling stock coach-wise, but these look quite nice with the Saint class. Price before opinion. So I got mine from Kerner Model Shop, and I paid £211.49, which doesn't include the postage. I think that's the average for the DCC ready versions of the Saint class of all model shops. But if you get this direct from Hornby themselves, you're talking a little bit more. £234.99, or roughly £235. Not sure if that includes postage or not. I know people are going to moan about the pricing, and pricing is what it is. It's a little high, possibly, but it's a good model. It runs well if you really, really want one. I personally would wait for some sort of sale to happen to get one in a couple of months' time, would be my suggestion. Now we come on to my opinion. So, my opinion of the model. Currently it has one issue, and that is the tender loco foreplate. Yes, it's a metal piece. It's a lovely touch, but once it's level with the tender on second or third or even the points, it will jam your loco up, as you saw by the video. I don't like to bring negativity to reviews, but this is a major one, and it looks a little bit odd when you have the foreplate down in the flat position, but that's what I had to do for my review, otherwise it wouldn't get anywhere. I'm not into bashing a model or bashing a manufacturer, but it does need to be looked into, and I have spoken to Hornby at time of recording, and it's saying they're investigating. At the time of me recording, they haven't got back to me. But the negatives at the side, this is a stunning looking loco. It has 12 wheel pickup, which is fantastic. It's really smooth over the points. It can do second radius if minus the foreplate is down. It can do third radius. It can crawl. It ran so smoothly with them coaches, it was impressive. Everything on the model is crisp. Yeah, okay, between the frames, I don't know if there should be some motion in there. That is a question mark, but the gap's so small, does it need it? I don't know. And I am glad that Hornby fixed the loco and tender connection, because on the P2 and the Stania Black 5, they were a little loose to pull apart. It was quite easy to pull them apart, but this one's quite hard, which is good because it means it can pull a lot more than my 3 coaches. It could probably pull up to like 18, 19 coaches. So that's always a good thing. And every manufacturer has to modernise to stay in the game. And Hornby have. The flickering firebox is orange with a frosted glass colo in there, which is great. I think it might have a speaker in there. Credit has to go to Hornby. Like I said, I don't know if it's a Simon Kohler original project or it's a Martin Weaver brand new one straight out the box. But either way, it has to go to Hornby. The credit has to go to them and Carl Hart for the work they have done on the locomotive. It is a stunning locomotive. Probably one of their best Great Westerns. Like I said, if you really want a Saint and you can't afford the high prices, the price they currently are, wait for a sale. That would be my suggestion. So yeah, this was my review on the all-new tooled Saint class or the 2900 class. I hope you find this review useful. Please take care and goodbye.